Yo, what up, everyone who is joining? Yeah, sorry about that. I thought my mic was disconnected. But yo, thanks for joining, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and watch this live as it goes on here. Normally, I come in for a post fight type reaction, but I'm gonna go ahead and watch it live, and I'll react as we go, and then of course I'll give my thoughts afterwards as well. All right, here comes the ring walks. Yeah, what's good, man? Yeah, for real. Shout out to Amanda Serrana. Let's say that Serrano. Sorry, Amanda Serrano. Shout out to Montana Love, man. Montana Love looks decent. Montana Love has some skills, man. But I did enjoy that female fight for the co-main event. That was a good fight. What's up, Kenneth? So right now we got the ring walk of Tyron Woodley. If you're watching live, we can watch it together. I'll give you guys my reactions. I'll give you guys my scorecards, and of course, we'll talk about the fight afterwards. Make sure you hit that like button as you come in, as always. All right, for everyone jumping in, thanks for dropping by. Make sure you hit that like button. We're watching live as we go along here. Feel free to drop your predictions in the chat as we go along. Let me know who you got. It's about to start. All right, Jake Paul coming out. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, loud and clear. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat. C Wood, what's good? Deep Zone, what's good? Thanks for dropping by. We about to get it going here. Jake Paul fighting in his hometown in Cleveland. Is that correct me if I'm wrong, but is that Machine Gun Kelly? Don't be shy, man. Leave your predictions in the chat right now before this fight starts. This is your time to get the prediction right. Let people know what you think. Who you got? I've already made a video about this. I've already made my prediction. So Jake Paul's going straight Cleveland right now. All right, see, Wood got Woodley for the win. We got one person for Woodley. Anybody in here for Jake? Let me know. We got Yave, man. He says Paul by KO 7. Okay. Predictions starting to come in. Everyone that's dropping by, man, dropping in. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. We're watching this live. Jake Paul, Woodley, watching live. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my comments, round by round, and then, of course, post-fight thoughts. Karma Boxing got Woodley by KO. Melina Daniels got Woodley. I missed the tail of the tape there. They both got the same reach, right? 74 inches. I just missed that, the tail of the tape. Deep Zone says it's a toss-up. I want Woodley to win. However, I think Paul will win. Yeah. I mean, I want Woodley to win for sure. And I think he will, but it's going to be tough. Hoplo, man, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by. He says, I'm not for Paul, but I think he will win. Too much future money on the line. I do hope he loses, though. Respect to Hoplo, man. Long-time subscriber. Appreciate you stopping by. For all of those who are in the chat right now, just stand by, stay in the chat, because once this fight is over, it's going to get lit in here. Every time I go post-fight, it gets crazy. So just sit back, relax, watch the fight. And soon as this fight is over, I'm telling you, this chat's going to blow up. Especially if it's some knockouts or some controversy. Kenneth Perry's got Woodley for the win, decision. Kenneth, you and I have the same prediction, bro. Same prediction. Guys, come in the chat. Hit that like button, man. I've got like 10 people. We need to have at least 10 likes, 11 likes. Let's go. Hit that like button as we go along here. Live commentary. I appreciate you guys dropping by. This dude still got headphones on. Woodley got headphones on during. I've never seen some shit like that. The dude's got headphones on during his not the announcement of his name. That's crazy. And Jake looks nervous to me, man. I don't know what you guys think, man, but he looks nervous to me. He knows that this is big time. He knows that this is no joke. He knows that he's fighting a guy that can possibly knock him out. Like real talk, I see a little bit of nervousness right here, and experience may be the biggest factor in this fight. Experience. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. But we're getting ready to go right now. First round coming up. There might be some lag too between my stream and your guys' stream, whatever you're watching. I might be ahead, I might be behind. So stand by for that as well. Oh man, my stream tripping. My stream tripping. All right, I got it. All right, cool. It's about to get lit. Here we go. First round. Oh shit. Oh, damn, Woodley. Jake being a little bit cautious. Look, Woodley does not miss squat day. I'll give him that. This dude is built from the waist down, man. Let's see if he can generate that power in boxing. Jake's a lot more patient than what we've seen him in the past. You notice how Woodley has that wide stance. It's a very MMA type stance. So sometimes the footwork coming from MMA to boxing, it troubles MMA fighters sometimes. It's very different. I like Woodley's being patient, trying to read Jake. I don't know if his game plan is to see if Jake burns out. I'm not sure, but he needs to try to counter something. Woodley needs to stop going backwards. See, that's that MMA stuff. MMA fighters go back. They don't pivot around fighters as much as boxers do because they have to worry about kicks. He needs to stop going backwards and pivot away from an oncoming attack. Good body shot. Woodley's a little bit hesitant, man. I think he's worried about that right hand coming in. He just needs to go to the body, I think. Just go to the body, take your time, but you got to land something. You got to do some work. Let me know what you guys think in the first round. I got to give that one to Jake Paul, man. Just a little bit busier. Woodley needs to do a little bit more. So I got Jake 1. But I'm telling people, man, that going backwards, not a good idea. Not a good idea, especially if Jake is gonna start being willing and be brave enough to start following up with punches. You go backwards, you end up in the ropes. You're gonna have some problems. So I don't know, man. I don't. It might be too late if he hasn't learned that by now. It might be a problem for him. Super wide stance, man, by Woodley. If you're just jumping into the stream, I appreciate you. Make sure you smash that like button. We're watching live, round 2. I might be a little bit ahead of you guys or a little bit behind. Let me know what you guys think as we go along here. I'm just doing some live commentary. There you go, Woodley. That's okay, Woodley. That's okay. That's okay, Woodley. Stay relaxed. There you go. Work, Woodley. Work. You got to work. Go to the body, Woodley. Let's go. Woodley needs to step to his right. Step to his right. Throw a left hook. Woodley's just coming straight forward too much. He's coming forward way too much. He needs to step to his right. Throw a left hook, or right hand to the body. Jake's confidence is starting to build, man. If Woodley doesn't throw a punch to get some respect back, he's going to start going to deep waters very soon. Jake's looking more and more comfortable as the fight goes on. All right, that's 2 rounds to Jake, man. You only got 8 rounds. You don't got time to to mess around. You know what I mean? You go down 2-0, you go down 3-0, 4-0, you put yourself in a really bad situation. So he needs to come out. He needs to win a round right here. And, if I'm in his corner right now, I'd be telling Woodley, like, look, if you're a little bit worried about the range and you think he's going to try to line up a right hand, he's got to duck underneath, go to the body, and try to get on the inside, do some work. It doesn't matter if every shot that you land every shot that you throw doesn't land. You got to start working. If you throw 5 punches to the body and only 2 land, you're putting in work. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? He continues to go backwards where he needs to slip and slide and pivot. See, that's boxing. That's the issue. That's the issue when MMA fighters come into boxing. And I have a lot of respect for MMA fighters, man, but boxing's just different. There you go. Work on the inside. There you go. Yes, good. 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 That's good from Woodley. Get on the inside and work. There you go. Jab at the body. Nice. Good. Patient. Work over that jab, Woodley. Come on. Work over that jab. Counter that jab. There you go. Counter that jab. Nice. It's going backwards again, man. Check left hook from Paul. But you guys notice one thing, though, right? Paul's power isn't as significant as it was in the past. You know, Woodley's tough, man. He's tough. He's durable. He's a veteran. It just right now, just not enough boxing skill, you know, to really turn the tide of the fight. Started off good this round. He's kind of let his foot off the gas. There you go. Good work. I think Woodley, man, he's got to start throwing caution to the wind a little bit. I mean, unless he's just in there to go 8 rounds, and if it's a victory for him not to get knocked out, I hate to say that. That's not what you want to say about a prize fighter, someone like Tyron Woodley. But it's looking that way. He looks like he's fine with just surviving 8 rounds and claiming that as a victory. I got three rounds to nothing, Paul. Iron Lion Mike, man, what's good? Thanks for dropping by. Says Woodley doesn't look like a boxer. Yeah, man, 100%. He looks like an MMA fighter. And he's going back in a straight line. Exactly, bro. So that's the thing, right? Is that that's what MMA fighters do, is that they go backwards to create as much distance as quickly as possible to stay away from kicks. Whereas boxing, you know, you can block, but you got to pivot out, you know, or you got to counter and move. You got to punch and move laterally. You can't just go back, man, because that builds momentum for an attacker, you know. But look, you know, he's been training for boxing for a little bit of time now, but, you know, at the end of the day, man, old habits die hard, you know. I got Paul up 3-0. So it doesn't look like my predictions turning out very well. Yeah, Woodley's got to start throwing caution to the wind now, because Paul has thrown some some power shots. A little bit of fatigue sitting in for Paul right now, believe it or not. Believe it or not, fatigue is starting to set in a little bit. So now what you got to do is just be in his face. You got to be in his face constantly now. You got to be rough. You got to give him no respect now. Believe it or not, Jake Paul, fatigue is setting in a little bit because he's throwing in some big power shots. Some landed, some didn't. So Woodley needs to show now that he's the veteran, he's the more experienced fighter, and he's not scared. Just let his hands go. That's it. That's it. You don't have the boxing fundamentals, unfortunately, so just let your hands go. That's good. That's, don't. That's, fine. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get cocky sliding out. Just keep tracking. Keep tracking. Keep tracking. Move your head. Move your head. Keep tracking. Move your head. Woodley ain't moving his head where shit. All he does is a high guard. It's just so MMA, man. It's everything about him, man, is MMA. Everything. Just walking in a straight line, going backwards in a straight line. Ooh! Ooh! Go, 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 go! Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Why you letting him off the hook? Why you letting him off the hook? Woodley, don't let him off the hook. Go. Come on, man. You're letting him recover. Body. Yes. Ooh. Big deep breath right here, Woodley. Big deep breath. Here we go. Here we go. You don't need to finish him right here, but land a couple more big shots. Jake Paul's tired. My boy's tired now. Ooh. So Woodley wins that round at least. He wins that round at least. So I got 3 rounds to 1. He let him off the hook though, man. Woodley could have done some serious damage. I don't know if he could have knocked him out. But he let him off the hook. Maybe hey, maybe Woodley's got us all fooled, man. Maybe this is part of his game plan. He don't want to take him out yet. Maybe he doesn't want to take him out yet. Maybe he's planning to just. Maybe he's just planning to take him in the deep waters and stop him in the last 7-8 round. I don't know, man. But I think he did let him off the hook, though. Ooh, uppercut. Yes, Woodley. Don't let him off the hook, Woodley. Don't let him off the hook. He's reaching now. Jake Paul reaching. You got to counter over that. Got to counter off that reaching. There's no power. He's just walking forward, throwing. He's not setting in his punches now. You got to step back and counter over the top of those little flailing punches. Woodley's winning this round too. Jake Paul's trying to take a break. Don't. Just go, one shot at the body at a time, Woodley. You don't have. Oh, God damn. He's trying to land that right hand. Woodley trying to land that right hand. I'm telling you, he wants that right hand, but jab to the body. Don't let him off the hook this much, man. Come on, Woodley. And Paul's throwing some bombs here. He's throwing some bombs, man. That takes a lot of energy, and he's missing too. Right now he is. He was a little bit earlier, but he's missing now. And that takes more energy to miss than it is to land. Woodley getting pumped now. Come on, Woodley. It's a fight. Come on, jab to the body. Show me something, Woodley. I think just Woodley's being too conservative, man. Way too conservative. You can't see. That's the thing about boxing, man. You got to line something up. You know what I mean? You gotta land a few little 1-2 combos and then land a big shot. Woodley's just trying to just land one big shot. It's like he wants a spectacular knockout or something. Nice jab. Nice. Good. Keep going. Work that body until the ref pulls you apart. Little things that boxers know. You know what I mean? Working on the inside. Good, 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 good. You can see him. Oh, he got it. That left hook was there. He didn't throw it. I give that to Woodley now, too. So I got 3-2. If Woodley wins this next round, it's a fight. It's becoming a fight now. But if he wins the next one and it's 3-3, this fight's still up for grabs. What's up, Dave, man? Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Ooh, just missed the chin. Just missed the chin. Woo! Round 6, man. I got it 3-2, Jake Paul. Jake Paul, I gave the first 3 rounds. Rounds 4 and 5, I gave it to Woodley. We're in round 6 now. If you're not able to watch the fight, we're in round 6. I got Jake Paul up 3-2. Woodley starting to find a rhythm. He's starting to impose his will a little bit more. To me, Jake Paul looks a little bit more tired because he threw some real heavy shots early in the fight. And to me, see, you notice how when Woodley throws that right hand, he missed, right? And then they kind of collided. Instead of missing and grabbing Jake, he misses, pull back a little bit, body, body, body. Force Jake to defend or try to roll out. The problem with Woodley now is he has an opportunity to finish this right now. Like, it's open. But he's trying to land one big shot. Jake is breathing hard. Woodley, man, you got to take advantage of this, bro. You're killing me. Woodley just trying to land one shot, man. Come on, put a couple shots together, bro. 1-2 at least. Ooh. 1-2, Woodley. Come on. Give me some type of combo. Left hook, right hand. Jab at the body, right hand up at the top. Let's go. Something. Give me some type of 2-piece. I need a 2-piece. Jake Paul out there eating chicken during the weigh-in, man. He was eating his 2-piece, and you got to return that 2-piece. Let's go. Jake Paul is tired, man. I can't believe Woodley's not taking advantage of this shit. I can't believe Woodley ain't taking advantage of this, man. Jake Paul is exhausted. How are you not taking advantage of this? Ooh. Follow up, follow up, follow up. That's a close round. Again, man, I think Woodley has opportunities to finish this right now, bro. Like, for real. But look, I got to give that one to Paul, man. I'm sorry. Paul was was looking sloppy, but he just did a little bit more. I mean, I can't give it to Woodley when he's just trying to land up one shot. Can't do it. I got 4 rounds to Paul, 2 to Woodley going into round 7. So right now, the best that I can get on my scorecard for Woodley is make it a draw. Unless, of course, he gets a knockout or a knockdown. Keep in mind that the judges for this fight are very inexperienced. We have no idea how they're going to judge this shit. Razor, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. I mean, I just don't understand it. You land one big shot that nearly dropped him, and then you let him bounce around the ring for the next 45 seconds. It's. I'm sorry to say it, man, but it's looking a little bit staged now. Jake is completely exhausted, and Tyron is just chilling. He's just chilling. It's like he wants to knock him out, but he can't. As in, like, something's holding him back, man. I can't wrap my head around it. He had him seriously hurt in the 5th round. Good left hook. But Woodley ain't following up. He's landing like a good shot here and there, and then he's chilling for 30 seconds. Paul, I mean, Paul's defense is not that good. It's not that good. And that's because he's used to bullying fighters. You know, when he's sparring, he probably just spars guys that he can bully. So he doesn't really work on his defense that much, man. I mean, I will say this watching this fight right now, that if Jake Paul goes in there with an actual boxer, it doesn't even have to be a fantastic boxer. Jake Paul is dead meat. Like, you go in there against a guy who can put a couple combinations together, a little bit of power, Jake Paul is dead meat. I'm telling you. 45 seconds, Woodley. Let's go, man. $30 seconds. I just, man, I'm telling you, good right hand, but Woodley's not hurt though. The thing is like, Woodley's not really hurt. A little bit of fatigue setting in, but doesn't look exhausted like Jake Paul. He's the only fighter that's really hurt anybody. And he's literally like not putting anything together. So if you don't think it's staged, then basically you got to say that he doesn't have the ability to land combinations. It's a good right hand by Jake Paul, but Woodley returned a shot. So obviously he wasn't that hurt by it. Last round, man. I had to give that one to Jake too. So I'm at the point where now it's right now. I'm at the point where Woodley needs a knockout. He needs a knockout on my scorecards. Come on, Woodley, man. You can't take a loss like this, bro. You can't take a loss like this, bro. Like, after you hurt him the way you did, man, and didn't follow up, you let him off the hook, you're going to take an L like this? That's crazy. There you go. There you go. It's not enough, Woodley, man. Even if you win this round, it's not enough, bro. You got to knock him out or knock him down. Let's go, Woodley. Woodley out here fighting like it's a 15-round fight. Like he got all day. Shit, man. It's the last round. It's like a victory for Woodley that he lasted all 8 rounds. I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Like one more big payday and then call it a day for Woodley. Was that the plan? Just one more big payday and just not get knocked out? Ah, man, I'm flabbergasted, man. Completely gobsmacked right now. Shit, you got 90 seconds, Woodley. You better empty the tank right now. You got to empty the tank. At least knock him down. At least knock him down, man. All that showboat don't mean shit, Woodley. You got to put that work in. Last round, 1 minute to go. For real talk, though, man, I don't think Jake Paul ever hurt Woodley in this fight. So, all that big power against a guy that's actually his weight or close to his weight, for me, is no longer that relevant anymore. I mean, he put on some decent boxing display for what it is, but I think it's mostly Woodley let him off the hook. Yeah. He's hurting him right now. Woodley's hurting him right now. I had Woodley winning the last round. But I don't think it's enough, man. I don't think it's enough. So 5 rounds for Jake, 3 rounds for Woodley. That's how I scored it. All this knockout stuff, Jake Paul was going to knock out Woodley. Woodley was going to knock out Jake Paul, man. I don't know what you're so happy about, Woodley, because you survived the fight. I mean, is it a moral victory or what? Like, you could have finished him, bro. For all the people that are joining in here late or you weren't able to watch the fight, Woodley hurt Jake Paul badly and could have finished him and let him off the hook. Jake Paul fell into the ropes. The ropes held him up. The ropes held him up. And Woodley did not attack. He let him go and bounce around the ring. And I don't think I've ever seen something like that in a boxing match when an opponent is hurt like that. It's completely mind-blowing to me. Like, for real though, like what it's just sail off in the sunset, one more big payday. You're 39 years old. You got nothing else to prove. You're a UFC champion, one of the all-time welterweights, whatever it is. Okay, I get that, but all this does is continue to taint the sport of boxing. That's all it does. It gives a black eye to the sport of boxing when we get no no disrespect to Woodley, man. He's done what he's done in the UFC, but you're an outsider. You're coming into boxing and you do what you do. You basically, in what I see, you threw away the fight. You threw it. You gave it to Paul. Paul couldn't hurt you. You landed the harder shot. You actually hurt Paul, and you didn't follow up with any of your power shots. That to me just stinks of controversy. I'm sorry, and I don't normally say these type of things, man. But this continues to taint the sport of boxing. An outsider comes in doing what he did, and then we got Jake Paul laughing all the way to the bank. Jake Paul is just getting paid, continuing to rob people their money. Basically, people paid like what was it, $59 for this fight. People actually paid for this shit, man. So what's next? He's going to fight another UFC fighter. He's going to fight Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury looked like shit. All right, here comes the decision, man. Yeah, split decision. But that's Woodley's fault. If this fight ain't fixed or staged, this is completely Woodley's fault. And for all those people, if all those people were saying, "Oh, we'll give Jake Paul his credit, this, that, or whatever," nah, nah, he did all right. You know what I mean? He did all right. Woodley landed the harder shots. Woodley hurt Jake Paul. Jake Paul never hurt Woodley. And he's not even a boxer. He ain't even a boxer. Let me say that one more time. He ain't even a boxer. No, I'm not giving Jake Paul any credit, man. If Jake Paul knocked Woodley out after Woodley hurt him and did what he did, then maybe. But nah, he was tired. He was exhausted. He was literally just jumping, lunging, just throwing punches. If this fight ain't rigged, man, Woodley gave the fight away himself, which wouldn't make any sense. Like, why would you purposefully just throw a fight away where you know that you're stronger? You know that you hurt him. You know that he can't hurt you. You don't need to be the best boxer in the world to know and understand that. You're supposed to be a fighter. The fight was there to be won. Woodley gave the fight away for a rematch to bring in more money. 3-fight deal, man. This is starting to become a joke, man. Straight up joke. People paid for this. Oh, now you want to respect Woodley now. Now you want to respect him. Anybody who thinks that Jake Paul can beat a real boxer, you don't know shit about boxing. I'm saying that right now for the record. So if, so if you jumping in here and you're a Jake Paul fan, you're not going to get much admiration over here. I mean, he did okay. He did okay tonight. Yeah, that's good, man. I hope you're starting to see it for what it is. If Woodley would have been putting water in the basement, Jake Paul would have never fell over. Jake Paul needs to stop before he really gets hurt. Like, I'm just saying right now, if he fights a real boxer, it's gonna be a wrap for Jake Paul. I'm telling you, man. The man ain't got no defense. I'm just waiting to see if they'll interview Woodley or not. Most of the night they've just been interviewing the winner. They haven't interviewed the losers, which is kind of strange because normally they do both. Yeah, you went 8 rounds with the former UFC champion who let you off the hook. Let's be real here, Ariel. Ariel out here Ariel full of it, man. He full of it. Anybody coming over here or watching in the bushes, if you think Jake Paul can beat a real boxer, you are out of your mind. This fight for me was a fight where I didn't have any dog in the fight, a horse in the race. I didn't really care that much because, as I said in my pre-fight videos, that this is an event. This isn't a boxing match because Jake Paul is a guy who wants to be a boxer, and Woodley is simply not a boxer. So it's just not a boxing match to me. It's an event, and you saw today or tonight. This is an event we just witnessed. It wasn't a real boxing match. When have you ever seen a fighter land a big hard shot like Woodley did on Jake Paul and then just stand there? The dude literally landed a big shot. Jake Paul landed into the ropes held him up, and then he just stood there and looked at him. When have you ever seen that? Not in boxing, I don't see that. That might happen in MMA, but that shit don't happen in boxing. You're still a bully, Jake. Shut up. You're still a bully. The thing is, he's out here talking about bullies, right? I don't know if you guys are watching the post-fight interview right now, but he's talking about how he's created this foundation against bullies or whatever. But the dude tried to bully Woodley the entire lead up to the fight. This post fight thing is unbelievable. Now you're trying to fight Woodley. Woodley out there saying he thought he won the fight, which, okay, maybe you do feel that way, but how are you going to act like you didn't let this man off the hook? You keep saying, oh, I hit you with the big shot. You almost fell through the ropes. But the fact of the matter is the ropes did hold him up. So you got to jump on him, man. Not just stand there and let him bounce around the ring for the next 30, 45 seconds. Like, you can't be mad at anybody but yourself, Woodley. For real. So who was the person in here? Who was the person in here that said, "Oh, I think this is set up for a rematch"? You might be right. Somebody commented that earlier, but you could be right. It seems like me like this just stinks of controversy. It stinks of a setup to do a rematch, and then you got Tommy Fury, who thinks he deserves a fight with Jake Paul. Everybody wants to fight Jake Paul. Why? Why? What's so great about Jake Paul? What does that do for your legacy? What does it do? I just turned off the fight, man. I couldn't take it anymore. But what does that do for your legacy, man? Can somebody explain that to me? Why is everybody so eager, other than a payday? I get that. But Tommy Fury spent like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes talking about how he doesn't do this for money. He doesn't do this for fame. I'm a fighter and all this stuff, right? And the face off that he had with the dude that he fought. I can't remember his name right now. And so he had this long speech about how he's a true fighter and he doesn't care about glory and fame. But then after the fight tonight, when Tommy Fury won, the first thing he did was say, "Oh, I want to fight Jake Paul next." Why would you want to fight Jake Paul? How does that improve you as a fighter? How does it improve you? Fight a real boxer. Do it the right way. So, or just be honest and say, I would love to have a nice payday. Then stop all this BS about how you're a real fighter and you don't care about the money. You care about only legacy. You only care about being the best. This is just crazy right now. That whole little post-fight interview that I just witnessed, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Woodley goes up and talks about how, oh, this is crazy. I don't know how they gave him the fight. I thought I won the fight. I landed the bigger shots. He couldn't land anything. It's just like, okay, well, now you're getting all amped up, but you had 8 rounds to finish this dude. You're getting all hyped up, Woodley, and you're out there talking about, we got to run it back. Forget about Tommy Fury. We got to run it back, this, that, whatever. And I don't care about the money, but it's like, how about you knock him out, okay? Then Jake Paul can come to you for a rematch. You don't nearly knock a dude out, let him off the hook, and then get upset that you didn't get the decision and then go begging for a rematch, man. That's not a good look. You're begging for a rematch after you just basically gave away the fight. Now, like I said, if you knocked out Jake Paul like you should have done, and Jake Paul wants to come crawling back to you talking about, hey, bro, can we run it back? Then you can get hyped. Then you can say, okay, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it's not a good look for you, Woodley, man. If you think you won the fight, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that per se. You did win. I gave you 3 rounds out of 8. If there are people out there that thought he won 4 or 5 rounds, whatever, but the fact is, man, is that the man couldn't hurt you. You know that he can't hurt you. And that's boosting your confidence because now you're like, well, I know he can't hurt me now, so I'm willing to run it back. I wasn't sure about the first time. I wasn't sure if he can hurt me or not because everyone kept telling me that he can crack. Well, now you've tasted his punch and you know that he has stamina issues. So now you're confident to run it back. But by the fifth, sixth round, you should have known by then that you can take his punch. You know by then that he's got stamina issues, and you know by then that you can hurt him. So what are you thinking? Sixth round, you're sitting on the stool thinking, I'm just gonna chill and wait for the rematch. This is disgusting, man. This is disgusting. Shout out to everybody who's just joining. I appreciate you guys stopping by. I scored the fight personally. I gave Jake Paul 5 rounds. I gave Woodley 3 rounds. Woodley, in my opinion, could have finished Jake Paul no problem. And I was watching the fight live. I was giving my commentary. And I was telling people that, or I was basically criticizing Woodley from a boxing perspective because, this is Divine Sense Reborn. This is Divine Sense Boxing. This is what I do. And I kept telling people as I was doing the commentating that Woodley needs to stop going backwards. That's an MMA habit because you want to remove yourself and distance yourself by going backwards in MMA to create distance from kicks or takedowns, right? You don't want to pivot out in MMA because you can pivot into a kick and then you can't check the kick, right? In boxing, you got to pivot out of danger, right? So the whole night, Woodley was displaying very little boxing ability. I mean, yeah, he's a fighter, but big open wide stance, going backwards, forwards, wasn't cutting off the ring really, didn't go to the body hardly at all. And trying to land a big right hand, basically, when the left hook was available for Woodley all night long. So with all that being said, he still could have knocked him out. So what does that tell you about Jake Paul? What does that tell you? Dr. Savage, man, what's good? I'm just going back reading the comments here. Everybody dropping in. Make sure you smash that like button on the way in. Divine Sense Reborn from the UK, bro. Man, I know it's easier said than done, but easier said than done due to fatigue in a fight. But Woodley was not active enough. That was his problem in MMA as well. He waits to land a right hand. Yeah, 100%. I didn't watch him that much in MMA. I don't watch MMA in general. I probably saw like one fight of his. So I didn't know. That's why I couldn't do a proper prediction of this fight. Because Jake Paul has been fighting dudes that are wrestlers who come back from hip replacements, who are retired, fights basketball players. What am I supposed to go off with that? Well, I don't know who he sparred. He's pulling dudes off the street of Miami and sparring, so he's not sparring any quality. Amanda Serrano probably whoops his ass in sparring. So what am I supposed to go off of? And Woodley's an MMA fighter. Stop it, bro. He won that fight. Shamel Waters, who won that fight? Who'd you have winning that fight? %58% of the fans felt he won. Well, who are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about. What fight were those judges watching? Big Dog Willie, man, shout outs. Thanks for the super chat. The BS is starting. Paul now can beat Wilder. Man, don't even get me started on that. Black Alpha, man, what's good? Salute Divine Sense Reborn in the chat. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. I watch MMA. I'm gonna just say Paul is no fighter. Man, look, Paul looks amateurish at best. At best. This showed a lot for me. As much as I am a little bit disappointed that Woodley didn't finish this fight, in one way I'm a little bit happy because, we're able to witness Jake Paul's true ability. He went 8 rounds and he looked okay the first couple rounds, maybe 3 rounds, but we saw his defense be pretty much non-existent. He didn't have to display much defense because Woodley really wasn't that active. And when he was active, he hurt Jake Paul. So we know Jake Paul's defense ain't that good. We know that his stamina ain't that good. And we know that he throws power shots. I mean, so all this conversation of him knocking dudes out, he finally matched up against a guy who weighed very similar to him. And he didn't hurt Woodley at all the whole fight. I don't think Woodley was ever hurt, even though he landed a couple flush right hands. I don't think Woodley was in any serious trouble. Moped looks good, man. Moped, man. I don't know if you have already bounced out or not, but hit that like button, but about to get some sleep. Salute. Woodley needs to let his hands go. When he had Paul hurt, he should have jumped on him. Absolutely. G Funky, I didn't see it, but I heard it was trash. The entire card wasn't trash. I don't know if you guys watched the whole thing, but the Amanda Serrano fight was really good. She's phenomenal. The Montana Love guy who he fought, I can't remember, the Russian dude. Montana Love looked fantastic. That was a good fight on the card. Tommy Fury fighting that MMA dude. I mean, he looked light years bigger than him. I mean, just that when I first turned it on, that was actually the first fight that I caught when I started watching it. He just looked like 3-4 weight classes bigger. It's a joke, man. I mean, I started talking about this. I start getting lit. Start getting lit. Hey, don't get me started about Tyson Fury. Now we got Tommy Fury fighting dudes 3 weight classes below him, talking about, I'm going to knock you out, mate. Less than 10 seconds, mate. Yeah? Knock you straight out. That's what he was saying in the face-off, if you guys didn't see it. And the dude lasted. It went the full 6 rounds or whatever it was. You couldn't even knock out a dude 3 weight classes lower than you, man. Like 5 inches shorter, who's not even a boxer. And now it's all about Tommy Fury, the Fury brothers, right? The future of boxing, man. Get out of here with that bullshit, man. We should be happy this is a win for the power of the sweet science. Jake is trash. He don't have to be GD. He just has to be competent enough for his attributes to prove the purpose of a weight class. That's an interesting point. I appreciate you stopping by. Dave says chin was finally tested and he got hurt multiple times. Multiple times, man. One time in particular. The dude fell into the ropes. Somebody please tell me, when was the last time you saw in a boxing match, not some event between a YouTuber and a UFC fighter, but in a real boxing match where a fighter has landed a hard shot and his opponent falls into the ropes, and if it wasn't for the ropes, he would have fell in the crowd. And then not see that fighter follow up and finish his opponent off. When have you guys seen that? Deanna says his speech was contradictory to how he lives. Just unbelievable. No boxer will take this punk kid seriously, not even for money. I mean, it's like the problem here now, people, is this. Everybody's chopping at the bit now to fight Jake Paul. Some of it has to do, I can fight this dude. He's not really a boxer per se. I can get a big payday. So you got all these MMA guys lining up. No, I'm the one. No, I'm the one. No, I'm the one that can beat him. I'm the one that can come from UFC or MMA and beat him. I'm the one. Everybody in the MMA community wants to be that one guy. And the thing is that it continues to show you. And the thing that irritates me the most is that Jake Paul is not a representation of boxing. But the funny thing is is that once again we see that an MMA fighter cannot compete in a boxing match more times than not. And the only real example that you got is Anderson Silva and what he did to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But Anderson Silva is a legend and has always been a striker. Like, for real. But even then, that's one example out of many examples over the past 10 years where MMA fighters come into boxing and they lose. You know, they either get knocked out or they go the distance, and it's usually because they're just trying to survive. It's just a completely different sport. That's why boxers don't go to MMA. You don't see boxers going in the cage. Very, very rarely do you see that. So the question is, put all the MMA and the UFC fighters, getting in line to fight Jake Paul because they want to be that guy to beat him, knock him out. The problem is that boxers, most of them, unless they're like young and upcoming and they've only had a few fights or whatever, probably don't care about Jake Paul. He's irrelevant. Like, what's in it for them other than a payday if they knock this dude out in the first round? I mean, it's just, then people will say, oh, that wasn't right. This guy was too good. He had too big of a resume, and that's not fair to Jake Paul. You see? So a lot of boxers with any credibility won't even take the risk to have that blemish on their record by knocking out Jake Paul. What does that do for their legacy or their record? Zero, other than getting paid. And for the rest of their career, they're going to be known as that guy who didn't fight a real boxer. So the only thing they can do is try to line him up with guys like Tommy Fury, or maybe other fighters who only have 4, 5, 6 fights. They're not going to even line Jake Paul up with somebody who has 4 or 5 professional fights, but with an extensive amateur background. They won't even dare to do that. They want to grab somebody off the street who just became professional and say, well, he's a real boxer. He's only got 4 fights. He never fought amateur. Will people buy it? I don't know. But this is what's happening. So the entire card wasn't a joke. As I mentioned, it was a pleasure watching Amanda Serrano. It was a pleasure watching Montana Love. But that main event, man, that main event was just tough to watch because Woodley had him hurt. I'm completely gobsmacked. I mean, it wasn't like the last round and maybe he was gassed out. The dude had him seriously hurt, laying on the ropes, and didn't finish him off. Literally just stood there and looked at him for 30, 45 seconds. He let Jake Paul off the hook. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And then to afterwards go into the ring, grab the mic away from Ariel and say, oh, I thought I won the fight and, I hurt you. Okay, you hurt him, but you didn't finish him, bro. It's not like you hurt him and then he started fighting back. You hurt him and then he was running. He was trying to survive. I shouldn't use the word running because I always criticize people for using the word running in boxing. So shame on me. He was wheeling out of danger because he was seriously hurt. And you let him off the hook. Period. Did you see Woodley agreed to get a tattoo for a rematch? Man, look, man, I take everything that's said at this point, especially when we're talking about events like this, like I take it with a grain of salt. It's just become ridiculous. The thing is, too, and I have to say this, I'm a little bit upset at myself because I avoided talking about this fight for basically since it was announced, up until basically the last 2 or 3 days leading up to the fight, because people kept hitting me up. Oh, Devon, we would love to hear your prediction. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I avoided it because This is what I was afraid of. This is what I was afraid of. And I picked Woodley to win this fight. So guess what? I look like a complete jackass. But you see, I'm not going to beat myself up badly about the prediction because my prediction was accurate. What I underestimated was Woodley's killer instinct. But I had Woodley winning this fight, and he clearly hurt Jake, and he could have ended the fight several times. So it's not like Jake Paul went in there and put on a boxing master class and knocked out Woodley, because then, yeah, that would make me look a little bit stupid. But Woodley could have ended this fight pretty much from the 4th round on if he really wanted to. Without boxing skill, he could have done it. So I don't even care that I didn't get the prediction right, because as I saw it, Woodley should have won the fight. He could have won the fight, and he didn't win the fight because he let Jake Paul off the hook. Simple as that. And I don't think I've ever, for as long as I've been talking about boxing, over a decade, I don't think I've ever came on a video or live or anything and said, oh, this fighter should have won, but he let the other fighter off the hook. I don't think I've ever said that, ever. Because boxers just don't do that. If boxers hurt their opponent, they try to finish him. Now, they may try to finish him and can't finish him and then gas out and then end up losing the fight. That happens. But what we don't see happening is they hurt their opponent, they fall into the ropes, and then they just stand there and look at him. That reeks of controversy, man. I'm telling you. I'm watching the post-fight conference right now. I can't listen to Tommy, man. That dude, he just drives me insane. It's like not nails on a chalkboard. The thing about Tommy too is he's so young that his age really comes out, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way for all the young people out there, but he just speaks like a kid sometimes, and he thinks he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and my brother's Tyson Fury, and I've been doing this, and I've earned my blah blah. And he's just a kid, man. I just can't listen to it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but I can't. The whole thing about I don't care about legacy, or sorry, I don't care about money, I don't care about fame. He was giving shit to his opponent about him having Instagram followers or whatever, and he's like, I don't care about Instagram, I don't care about this. But then as soon as your fight is over against a guy who you were 3 weight classes above, 5 inches taller, you couldn't even finish him, and then you want to call out Jake Paul. So the contradictions, I don't have the patience for it. Paul poked and racked points. Woodley threw bombs, but not enough. Hesitancy prevents victory. Yeah, man. I mean, for anybody out here who thought Woodley was robbed, I mean, one judge gave it to Woodley. One judge actually gave it to Woodley. The thing is like I said, man, if you want to give Woodley 3-4 rounds, that's fine. But there's no way you can give Woodley 6-7 rounds, in my opinion, man. I'm sorry. Because for sure, Jake Paul won the first 3 rounds. Because Woodley wasn't doing nothing. He was literally doing nothing. And it wasn't like he was the one actually pressing the fight. And Jake was, on the outside. And Jake didn't land anything significant, really. He landed a couple right hands and jabs here and there. But Woodley literally threw nothing and getting hit with shots here and there. So you don't win those rounds. And then I think he hurt him, what was it, the 5th round? He won the 5th and 6th round for sure. And then he gave up 7 and 8, or sorry, maybe 6 and 7. I don't remember, man, because I was judging it on the fly. But, I mean, I gave Woodley 3 rounds. But that fight should have ended in knockout. Like, for real, should have ended in knockout. Then it says, "Yo, bro, I'm really pissed. Jake is taking boxing to the toilet bowl for sure, for sure." And people are buying it. That's the thing. People are buying into it mainly because half the people want to see him lose. The other people like what he's doing. They think that he's a character. He's entertaining, and he's just taking boxing for a ride. But I will tell you guys this though: he was in a tough fight tonight. He was in a tough fight. And you can kind of hear that in his voice in the post fight interview where he was like, "Oh, I might take a little break. I'm 24 years old and I have a lot to think about." He was in a tough fight tonight. And I don't know if the rematch is actually going to happen. Um, but thank God I didn't pay for this fight. And I wasn't even tempted to buy it. Like, real talk. For all the people out there that bought this fight, I'm sorry to say, I feel sorry for you. No disrespect to Amanda Serrano and no disrespect to Montana Love and the other good fights on the card, man. But, like, I'll tell you what. You take off Woodley and Jake Paul off this card and the main event is Amanda Serrano, I'll pay for it. I would pay for that. There ain't no way I'm paying when I got Jake Paul as a main event. Ain't no way. Ricardo Cortez de la Cruz. What's good, man? He says, it's worth mentioning Tyron got clipped in his last fight rushing in, which is probably why he was passive, unfortunately. Possibly, man. But I think early in the fight, yes. The first, 2 or 3 rounds, I agree with you, Ricardo. But the problem is, once he did take a few big shots, he knew, he's like, oh, I've been hit much harder than this before. He was getting hit with 4-ounce gloves in UFC. So I think by the time the 5th, 6th round came around, he said, oh, I think he was very confident that Jake Paul couldn't hurt him. So that's why he's ready to take this rematch. Because now that they fought, he knows that Jake Paul can't hurt him. Ubafly says, yeah, you're right, man. He could have won. Reason I predicted he wouldn't was because no killer instinct, quote unquote, and would only know that if you fooled or followed his MMA career. That's a good point. And like I said, I didn't watch him in MMA, so I wouldn't even know. So I guess you're not really surprised. If you follow MMA and you followed Woodley's career, then you're probably not that surprised. But for me, I'm surprised. As a boxing fan, I don't really watch MMA. So as a pure boxing fan, I'm definitely surprised that Woodley didn't finish Jake Paul. He didn't have that killer instinct. And the thing, and I keep saying this, and I feel like I need to because people continue to jump into the live stream, is that if you didn't finish him, it is what it is. Maybe you were tired. Maybe you were hesitant. Maybe you don't have that killer instinct. That's fine. But don't come in after the fight talking about, oh, I should have won the fight and I hurt you and you didn't hurt me. Well, we don't got to hear that, man. We got to hear that. You're embarrassing yourself. Just say, hey, I'm not a boxer. I lasted 8 rounds. It was a good fight. I thought, I thought I should have won a few more rounds on the scorecards. It's something new for me. And if Jake wants to run it back, we can run it back. That's it. You don't go up there talking about you think you won and I almost knocked you out. The ropes kept you up. You didn't finish him, bro. Like you can't. You just can't do that, man. You had a golden opportunity to put the whole MMA community on your back. All those people out there that want to see Jake Paul knocked out. You had a golden opportunity to succeed. And you let him off the hook. Period. After this, I don't think this kid would be taken so seriously. Showtime is going to hear an outcry about this. I never was taking him seriously. And I didn't pay for this fight, and I will never pay for his fight until he knocks out a credible boxer with either, it doesn't have to be a a seasoned professional, but he's got to at least beat soundly a guy who has, at the very least, an extensive amateur background. They don't need to have very many pro fights. You can get a guy who's 2-0, 3-0, but at least an extensive amateur background that has very good boxing fundamentals. Until then, I ain't paying for any Jake Paul fight. I will keep my money in my pocket and spend it elsewhere very happily. All that money that people spent, you could have used that money to buy a couple of extra, some extra beer and some ice and some tomahawk steaks for the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight on October 9th. You could have saved your money for that. Bright says, I want to see Tyron get the tattoo. He ain't getting no tattoo, man. That's all part of the hype. I don't buy into that. As much as people hate to admit, Jake Paul is bringing a lot of new eyes to the sport, especially from the younger generation. Well, he is, but that doesn't make it anything. That doesn't make it special, because what happened? What happens to all of the diehard boxing fans, the people that have been watching the sport 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? What about those people? You alienate those people because they're disgusted at this display of boxing. I mean, it was bad enough. It was borderline when Mayweather was fighting McGregor. It was borderline when Mayweather fought that dude in Japan. It was borderline, when those things were happening. But now that borderline has been crossed now. So this younger generation, they're not getting the right education about boxing and what it should be and how the sport should be respected, the sweet science. They're coming into it, this new generation, they're coming thinking it's all a big show. It's like WWE up in here. How you going to hurt a fighter and not finish him off while he's laying on the ropes? I will never pay for a Jake Paul event. That is what free streams are for. Laugh out loud. Facts. I ain't paying for that bullshit. Ain't no way. Like I said, you take them off the main event. You got Amanda Serrano. There's no fights this weekend. I would happily pay for that. I happily pay for that because she's a real boxer. She's legit. Sick of it, man. Really sick of it. Nate Bake says Woodley got smashed. I don't even imagine fighting for 20 years and only learning how to throw hands. I mean, I wouldn't say that he got smashed. He gave the fight away. I mean, where did he get smashed at? He was never hurt. Paul never hurt Woodley, man. Woodley was never hurt. You can say that he was hesitant. You can say that he didn't want to let his hands go. That's fine. But to say up here he got smashed, Jake Paul never hurt Woodley. That's why it's a joke. And the funny thing is, when the first round started, right? When the first round started, Woodley came out super low to the ground. I was like, oh. First thing that popped in my head was like, is that these dude's going to try to take him down the first round? He going for a leg shot? He going for an early takedown? But then I thought, oh, maybe this is strategy. Maybe he's getting low like Mike Tyson. Then do a little peekaboo style. I'm like, oh, this is what he's been working on? Okay. And then he didn't do shit for 3 rounds. Literally didn't do nothing. Woodley didn't do nothing for 3 rounds straight. And I told people live in the commentary, those who are still a part of the show, I went live the entire fight. I didn't go live right after the fight, which is what my original plan was. But I decided I'm here, so I might as well go live during the whole fight. And as I was going through the fight, I was telling people, It's an 8-round fight. You just gave away 3. So unless your plan is to just come in the 5th round or something and just explode and try to knock him out, you're giving away all these rounds, man. It's an 8-round fight, not a 12-round fight, not a 15-round fight. And he did. I think he hurt him in the 5th round. I was like, okay, maybe this is his plan. There were people commenting in the chat like, oh, maybe this is a big trap. He's trapping him. He's setting him up. And he lands that big shot. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, maybe he was playing possum. But then he let him off the hook, man. He let him off the hook. He let him wheel out. And he stood there and looked at him for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Hoplo says, I didn't buy that. I've been around for a while. Real talk, man. Hoplo knows what's up. Hoplo knows what's up, man. We don't... I would have happily paid for Amanda Serrano fight. I would have happily paid for that if that was the main event. Shoot, what's up, man? He says, I knew it would be Paul by decision. Well, respect, you got it right. But I'm telling you, Jake Paul... I won't say that he got gifted, as in, like, the judges gifted it to him, but Woodley gifted it to him. Woodley gave him that victory on a silver platter. I will say that. I think people need to start putting respect on Jake Paul's name, considering what he's done so far to highly respected individuals in the fighting game. You trolling, Nate. That's a troll. I ain't responding to that shit. You trolling now, bro. Hey, my wrenches in here, man. Keep an eye on that shit. Credible fighters. Credible fighters. Really? Nah, that's troll. I ain't responding to that. I ain't putting no energy in that. No energy. Yo, me and Divine are in the same space right now. Like, for real. Like, I'm about to flip this table over. Bright, what's good, man? I appreciate the super chat. Not only did you drop a super chat, but you're also an official member of the channel, man. Big respect. I hate to admit it. Jake Paul is showing how effective boxing is by beating UFC fighters. UFC needs to step up. Jake is adding more clout to boxing. I'm not sure how to interpret that exactly, but I will say that, yeah, UFC fighters definitely need to step it up. I will say that. This whole idea that, oh, we're fighters too and we can strike. Look, man, I've been blessed with the opportunity to do a little bit of MMA and Muay Thai, a little bit of Roman Greco wrestling. I've done a bit of it, okay? And of course, I did a lot of boxing when I was younger. It's totally different, man. It's totally different. And I used to help Muay Thai fighters. They wanted to work on their hands, you know what I mean? And it's just completely different. I can't explain in words exactly unless you really know what I'm talking about. Muay Thai and most MMA fighters fight very lineal, right? Forward, back. They go side to side times. They do circle each other, but it's a very lineal. You have to fight lineal in MMA and Muay Thai because you have to create distance and be aware of kicks. That's the thing, and takedowns. Boxing, you want to be just outside the punching range, like literally right on the edge of it. So when you take that small step to come in with the punch, you're reaching your target, right? And if punches come back, you defend and you pivot out, right? Small circles, small turns. Every once in a while, you can backpedal and wheel out, right? Depending on your style. But MMA is very lineal, right? And that's what we saw tonight with Woodley. Coming forward, going backwards. Coming forward, going backwards. It wasn't until like the 7th, 8th round where he started doing a little bit of lateral movement, and he was shadowing Jake Paul a little bit. And I was like, good. That's what you need to do. But the thing about it is, another thing that MMA fighters don't do is go to the body because it's too risky to go to the body in MMA. If you bend down and try to throw a shot to the body, you can get a knee to the face. You can get a kick to the face. You can get an uppercut. Um, they can sprawl out, push your head down, get on your back. So they just don't do it. And once again, Woodley didn't go to the body at all. Imagine Jake Paul being hurt, and then Woodley said, "All right, bet. I'm just going to go to the body all night long now. Just start ripping into the body. You're lower. You get low. Peekaboo, bounce in, bam, bam to the body. You just keep working that body, and it's muscle memory, man. And you can hit the mitts all day long. You can spar this and that, but at the end of the day, man, you're an MMA fighter. That's just what it comes down to. Now, somebody like Nate Diaz, he might be okay because he has an actual boxing background, and when he fights in the UFC, he throws his hands a lot, and he's got good, crisp punches to him. So, in a way, yeah, UFC needs to step up their boxing game. And they need to work with boxers more because if their UFC MMA career is over and they want to get into boxing, they actually have a chance. Nobody's having a chance at this point. It's just because they're too stuck in that MMA style and they don't know how to put combinations together in a real fight. Woodley hardly threw the jab as well. But it's crazy because when he did throw it, he landed it because Jake Paul was so tired. He couldn't get out of the way. He didn't know how to slip the jab or even parry the jab. It's just little things like this that I notice. He's a kid YouTuber and beats two feared world-renowned MMA World Championship fighters. Like, Nate, I don't know if you're trolling, bro, but like, look, man, two feared renowned MMA world. First off, Ben Askren, everybody in the MMA community will never consider him as a striker. He is an elite wrestler. That is the only reason why he was able to have a career in the UFC is because his wrestling was so good. He didn't need to stand up and strike and go toe-to-toe with people. He takes people to the ground. Not only that, he was retired and coming back from a hip surgery. And when he stepped through the ropes on fight night, he looked like dog shit. Let's be real. He looked like he hasn't trained in like 3 or 4 years. Stomach fat pouring over his trunks. No muscle definition whatsoever. Terrible. Now Woodley, yeah, I mean, he's a specimen. He's an athlete. He went 8 rounds. And so as much as I want to give Jake Paul a little bit of credit because, okay, he didn't fight a sloppy fighter like Askren or a basketball player like Nate Robinson, which is a joke as well. I'll give him credit when it comes to that. He fought a real athlete. But again, the only reason why he won that fight is because Woodley let him off the hook. Period. And I'm sticking to that. Devon Sentence, I'm about to catch some sleep at 6 a.m. here in the UK. Catch you soon, bro. Enjoyed the great live stream chat. I appreciate you, Dr. Man. Get some sleep, bro, and I'll catch you on here again. Nate, respect who? Jake Paul? I know you're not serious. Stop, bro. Just stop. Tell him, Deanna. Tell him. And for all the people out here that are maybe watching in the bushes and you're upset because I'm not up here clapping my hands for Jake Paul. Look, You came to a boxing channel. This isn't an MMA channel. This isn't a UFC channel. This isn't a Muay Thai channel. This isn't a boxing and MMA channel. This is a strictly boxing channel. So, what you're going to get over here is boxing commentary. What you're going to get over here is the dissection of the sweet science. You're going to get it raw, unfiltered, and authentic over here about the sport of boxing. So if you're coming over here looking for something to grab onto in regards to Jake Paul, well, there's no lifeline over here. No lifelines. And no disrespect to UFC fighters or MMA fighters. I've done a little bit of it myself. It's a very challenging sport, having to deal with kicks and takedowns and elbows and all that stuff. I have a lot of admiration and respect for those guys, man. But at the end of the day, boxing is my sport. It's what I love. It's my passion. And as much as I give MMA fighters respect, when you come over here, it's divine sense boxing. TS Boxing, man, what's good? Thanks for stopping by. I know it's getting late out there stateside, so all the people that are staying up to continue to watch the live stream, I appreciate you. Woodley looked stuck in the mud the whole fight. If he moved better, he was going to win easy. Just like a little bit, man. Just a little bit of boxing footwork, using the jab, go to the body. Just slight little changes. If he would have made them, he would have got Jake Paul out of there. For real. And his punches didn't necessarily look too bad. I thought he was going to wind up a lot more. He did throw a lot of looping punches. That's obviously the MMA background. But there were times where he was throwing some crisp punches. I think that he's put some work in. I don't know who he's been working with, but maybe he needs more time with Floyd Mayweather. I don't know. But I don't even know what his game plan was, to be honest. At first I thought, okay, maybe he's trying to save energy and then open up in the middle 8 rounds and try to finish him. And then he didn't. Well, he almost did it, and then he let his foot off the gas, but he didn't really look tired. He didn't look hurt, so that didn't make sense. And then he didn't go to the body, so his plan wasn't to break down the body. His plan wasn't to use the jab. His plan wasn't to work on the inside because he didn't do that either. So I don't know what his plan was other than just surviving 8 rounds and try to land a big shot. Was that your plan? And then you get upset that you don't get the decision, and then you want to call out Jake Paul for a rematch? It just don't make no damn sense. Somebody explain it to me. Somebody please explain it to me. TS said I had Jake Paul winning 5-3. That's exactly how I had it, man. That's exactly how I had it. Yes, TS, he was stuck. He didn't throw his hands at all. Backed up the whole night. He didn't like, the thing is that I don't think he backed up necessarily, but he just didn't know how to attack effectively. And the only thing that I can think of is he's just so stuck in that MMA background where, you know, if you're a shorter fighter fighting a taller fighter in MMA, you want to take your opponent down because you're at a range disadvantage. Right? So that you can see Woodley having that super big wide stance with his feet, always squatting down. That's all like muscle memory and repetition of being an MMA fighter for so long. It's like, that's not an effective way to attack in boxing. Because when your feet are that wide open, it takes an extra second or two to bring your feet together to take that step forward that you need to make, which then gives your opponent time to defend or jab or slip or whatever. So, yes, you need your feet a particular width to maintain balance as a boxer, but you don't need it that damn wide. Squatting down low. I mean, Mike Tyson was always shorter than all of his opponents fighting in the heavyweight division. He was low, but his feet weren't that damn wide. He had a perfect balanced boxing stance. And that's the thing about the fundamentals of boxing. He needs to be with somebody who's going to say, okay, Woodley, we're going to start from ground zero here. This is how you stand. This is how you move. This is how you pivot. Before you even throw a punch, you get in the ring. You start to feel out the ring, where the ropes are, where they brush up against your back as you're gliding through. Where's the middle of the ring at without even having to look where you're at. You have to feel it. You have to know it. This type of stuff takes years to master. But if you're going to fight again in boxing, that's what you need to do. Not some guy who's just going to hold the mitts for you and try to help you work on your conditioning and throw combinations. No, you need somebody to say, no gloves, no mitts, no nothing. Footwork. How to step forward, how to step back, how to pivot. All that stuff, right? Then you slowly start to put the gloves on and hit the mitts and move. The same thing that Wilder is working on right now with Malik Scott is going back to the basics. Even the greatest fighters do it. There's nothing wrong about doing it. There's nothing wrong about it. So that's what you got to do. You get your footwork better. You don't got to squat so damn low unless you're going to do peekaboo style and explode with your punches on the way up, because that's what Mike Tyson did, right? Come up, duck, go to the body, and come up. You're using your power instead of just one big shot and then a lot of times Woodley would throw a big shot and then just hold Jake Paul. It's like, why? If you throw a shot and you don't land, that's okay, right? You throw a shot, he blocks it or slips. You don't just grab. You let your shoulder barge into him. You're a shorter fighter. Your shoulder is probably going to hit him in the chin. That's part of boxing. It's not an illegal thing to do. It's a little bit cheeky, as they would say in the UK. It's a little bit, tricky, but that's part of boxing. So you come in with the right hand, you miss, you get your shoulder in there, and you kind of pop him up a little bit. Then you sit down, go to the body, and force him to tie you up or try to wheel out. And as soon as you feel like he reaches out to grab you, you keep hitting the ribcage until the referee breaks you. I mean, these are things that boxers know and understand. And obviously, during this training camp, he wasn't working with boxers who were telling him these little small, important, intricate details that would have been so useful for him. Shout out to Bright with another super chat. I appreciate you. We have to respect Jake Paul. Why? Because he has only been doing it for 3 years, and he has beaten up all those UFC fighters who disrespect boxing. Well, you're saying that Ben Askren and Woodley disrespected boxing? I didn't know that. You're going to have to explain that one to me. The reason why Woodley had so many KOs in MMA is because of his wrestling threat. But when he fought guys who were also wrestlers themselves, he couldn't KO them. Well, I appreciate that insight because I've never watched Woodley fight. This is a boxing channel, so I appreciate that insight. Very interesting. Guys like Usman, Colby, etc. Okay, cool. I know who those guys are. I do know who they are, but I don't think I've watched the fights extensively. Bright, again, I disagree. Jake Paul deserves 0. His mouth is going to get him hemmed up in the streets. Nobody likes this kid. Money ain't everything. I'll say something else about Jake Paul right now. Now that we're on the topic, we have a guy here, and respect for the super chat and all that. But it seems like I don't know if you're a Jake Paul fan or you just simply want to give him credit. That's fine. That's your opinion. But I want to say this too. Post-fight and all access leading up to the fight, and as I just mentioned, even the post-fight, he wanted to make it a point once again. His new kind of platform is anti-bullying, right? He set up this boxing foundation to bring in kids and motivate them and learn boxing, I guess, against bullies, which that's an admirable thing to do, very noble thing to do. I don't got nothing against that. But the problem is that you're still a bully, Jake Paul. You were a bully before, and you're still a bully, and you'll probably continue to be a bully until you get knocked out. How are you going to preach that, oh, I'm anti-bullying, this, that, or whatever, where you spent the entire lead up of the fight trying to bully Woodley? You're a bully, man. This dude is full of it. Seriously, he's full of it, man. And so that's why I don't take anything he says seriously. Everything I take is everything he says, I take it with a grain of salt. And people are buying into this. Oh, give him respect. He's only been doing it 3 years. He hasn't fought boxers. Let me say that again. He hasn't fought boxers. If a guy at 22 years old or 21 years old, like Deontay Wilder was when he first started professional, around 21, I believe, and his first 6-7 fights on the record, he fought who? He fought boxers. Deontay Wilder started at 21 years old. His first 6-7 fights were against boxers. His first 4 fights, his first 3 fights. He went amateur, went to the Olympics, won a bronze medal before he became a professional. That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you get respect. He could have done that, but he chose the entertainment route. He was already famous. He already had 10 million followers on YouTube. People already knew who he was. He could have said, hey, I'm done with my entertainment career. I'm going to be a boxer now. I'm going to, go in for my first professional fight against a guy who wants to be a boxer like me. Beat him. Second fight, another boxer just like me. Third fight, another boxer just like me. And because you have the name and you believe in your skills and people believe you have punching power, then by your 4th or 5th fight, you can go up the ladder quicker than most guys that maybe needs 20 fights before they get a title shot. Maybe you only need 10 shots to get a title shot because you have the name Jake Paul. You can sell a fight, but you have to fight boxers. That's the way you're supposed to do it. So when people get upset and irritated at Jake Paul from the boxing world, that is why. Now, you might be a casual fan of combat sports. You might be an MMA fan. You want to say, oh, give the man credit. I don't give him credit because he hasn't fought boxers, man. That 4-0 record or whatever he's got, that's not a boxing record. That's an event record. He won 4 events. He didn't win 4 boxing matches. Yeah, they had gloves and a boxing ring, but the dudes he fought weren't boxers. And for me, I personally don't think it would have made a difference. If he would have done it the right way and fought boxers now going into his 4th, 5th fight, he would have got a lot more respect. People are like, oh, this is that YouTuber, ex-Disney kid. He's already 4-0, 5-0. He's been fighting boxers. Let's line him up for his 5th fight, 6th fight with a guy who's maybe got 10, 12 fights. Let's see how far he can go. Maybe he can go for a title shot before, he's 20, 26, 27 years old. He could have done that. But instead, he wants to beat up on ex-basketball players, retired UFC fighters who are coming back from hip replacements. And Woodley was the first time where he actually fought an athlete. And he had to go 8 rounds. And he was hurt several times against a guy who's not a boxer. Food for thought. Dirty Chivo, what's good? The anti-bully BS is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And all the people are like, oh, yeah, that's such a good, admirable thing that Jake Paul is doing. Anti-bully. That's great. Thank you, Jake Paul, for standing up for kids. Man, shut up. He's a bully. He's always been a bully. And as soon as Woodley got heated at the post fight, and he grabbed the mic, I want rematch. What did Jake Paul do? Went right back to who he is and try to be a bully. Him and his brother, doing what they do, but mostly Jake Paul goes straight back to being a bully again. Another super chat by Bright. I appreciate the super chats, man. Let's see what you got to say here. They disrespect boxing by thinking they can walk into boxing and beat up Jake, who has taken boxing seriously for 3 years. P.S. I don't like Jake. I guess I can kind of see where you're coming from in that regard. But again, I just made my point, man. I'm reading your comment a little bit late, obviously, because I've been ranting. But he just hasn't done it the right way, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you've been doing boxing for 3 years. These guys thought that they can knock out Jake Paul, but they couldn't. And, I get that. But again, like, you're hearing it from a pure boxing perspective. Dirty says, F this kid, like you just said, Divine. He's still, to this day, yet to fight a boxer. Yeah, get the F out of here, like, for real. I've been trying to keep down on my cursing lately, if you guys haven't noticed. I'm really trying hard. I am ex-military. I'm very animated. And you guys know the saying, those people who curse more are actually more intelligent. You guys heard that, right? But I'm trying to keep it controlled here because, YouTube they don't like that. So I'm trying. Woodley getting tattoo on his butt cheek. Champ Life Boxing. Are you serious, or are you referring to the rematch? I know he is not a boxer, I agree, but he is showing those UFC fighters they cannot just walk in and just win. Get my point? Yeah, I do, but here's the thing. Well, I mean, so we're really talking about two fights here because Nate Robinson was a basketball player, so he doesn't fall into any category other than falling flat on his face. I don't give credit for Jake Paul for that fight because Jake Paul, like you said, has been taking boxing seriously. Nate Robinson thought he can do it and got knocked out. So then you have Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley. So with Ben, I don't think he really thought that he can win. I really don't. I don't think that he thought, I'm going to come up in here, I'm going to knock out Jake Paul. I thought he thought maybe I'll survive and get a payday. That's what I think Ben Askren thought. I think I'm pretty tough. I've got experience. I can come in. I don't think he truly thought that he can win. If you go back and listen to the interviews that he did with a lot of podcasts and a lot of different guys, he didn't strike me as a guy who thought that he was seriously going to win. Now, with Woodley, that's the only guy where it's a bit muddled. It's the gray zone. I do think Woodley thought he was going to win. I do think that Woodley could have won. I think he could have won. And he let Jake off the hook. But it's hard for me to give credit when if you want to criticize Woodley for thinking that he can beat Paul and he didn't, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But to give Jake Paul credit, I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Ubafly says, I think you're misunderstanding what Bright is saying. Him beating MMA fighters reflects well in the power of boxing, not of Jake. Yeah, I see where he's coming from now. I see where he's coming from. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm trying to be as open and transparent as I possibly can, especially you take the time to give a super chat. I appreciate that. Cole Wheel says, I wish Jake would fight Woodley in MMA too someday. That ain't going to happen. Ain't no way. As a matter of fact, I think Woodley asked him not too long ago if he would go into the cage, and he emphatically was like, no, it ain't never happening. Jake Paul will never go into the octagon. Corey Patrick says, all the attention, quote unquote, Jake Paul is bringing, quote unquote, to boxing, not one boxer is trending. Not all the attention Jake Paul is bringing to boxing, not one boxer is trending. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. The main reason why MMA fighters go into boxing is because they are severely underpaid. That is one reason. Underpaid, underappreciated. They think it's easier because they don't have to worry about takedowns and kicks and elbows and knees and arm bars and rear naked chokes. So they think like all I got to do is just worry about throwing my hands. But unfortunately for you, you've been doing MMA most of your life and you've never done boxing. And it's a rude awakening every time you step into a boxing ring. It's no different than a boxer thinking, oh, I'm athletic enough. I can throw hands. I don't have to worry about wrestling. I can just knock a dude out until the dude shoots for a leg, picks you up off the ground, and slams you on your head. Yeah. But it seems to me that boxers are a little bit more smarter than UFC MMA fighters are. Because at least boxers, for the most part, stay away from the octagon. We remember Conor McGregor trying to convince Mayweather going to the octagon. Mayweather's like, no, no. You want to fight? We're going to a boxing ring. You claim to be a striker, so prove it. And UFC fighters, basically since Conor, has been continuously trying to prove that they can box, and it's not turning out well. Yeah, it says, I'm trying to keep it clean. Oh, trust me. It's not hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's very hard. Update. Jake Paul is making excuses about his legs now, Divine. Oh, he said that in the post-fight. He said that right after the fight in the ring. He said something was wrong with my legs. I didn't feel right since I was in the locker room. Man, here we go. Here we go. What is it now? What is it now? Ever since Wilder came out and said that his legs weren't right, now we got Pacquiao saying his legs were cramping. And we got Jake Paul saying his legs were cramping. But, Wilder was the crazy one. Wilder was the crazy one. He was the absurd one making up excuses. But here we go with this. Now everyone's going to say, oh, well, yeah, man, shit. Maybe Jake Paul was cramping. Maybe somebody from Woodley's camp like put something in his water. Like, damn, maybe if he had his legs, he would have stopped Woodley. See, this is what's going to happen. This is the conversation that's about to be had. Y'all buckle your seatbelts. Buckle your seatbelts. I came on here and started telling people how, hey, Manny Pacquiao, there are people saying he got his water spiked, and people are going to start talking about it, right? But it kind of died away, if you notice, because you know why? You know why? Because it's channels like me and other channels out here. We let these other channels out here trying to promote the idea that Pacquiao's water was spiked, and we check them. We check them real quick. See, that's the thing. I want people to understand something about YouTube and how it works. You get one channel. They put out a video saying Manny Pacquiao's water was spiked, right? That video gets 100,000 views. Divine Sense Reborn makes a channel saying, oh, people are saying Manny Pacquiao's water is spiked and it's BS. I get 500 views. The views don't matter because you know why? There's only so many content creators on YouTube talking about boxing. This isn't a wide spectrum of somebody talking about fitness or talking about world travels where you've got thousands of channels making a. YouTube has grown over the years, but still relatively small. A lot of content creators all listen to each other. Don't get it twisted. We all listen to each other. We all know what's saying out there. It doesn't matter how many views you got or how many subscribers you got, because content creators, when it comes to boxing, they want to know what other people are saying. And YouTube channels will either piggyback off of that, like, boxing YouTube channels will piggyback off of what other channels are doing. They'll steal their content and pretend that it's their own. Or they just simply pay attention to what's being said and they take heed to it. You may not believe it, but it's fact. That's the thing about boxing. It's a very niche sport. So when people come out here and talk about Wilder, and you do film studies like I did of the second fight between Fury and Wilder, you do a film study, 2 hours and 50 minutes. It may not have as many views as it should have on a grand scale, but I guarantee you a lot of content creators watch that film study. And guess what? If they don't agree with me, they know to stay away from me. They know to stay away from me. Because I got time. I got 2 hours and 50 minutes. You know what I mean? So now we got Jake Paul saying my legs were cramping. And everyone's going to go over there and powder his little butt like a little baby, put the little baby powder on him, put his little Pampers on. They say, oh, poor little baby. Oh, maybe if your legs weren't cramping up, maybe you could have knocked them out. But we will not soon forget all the criticism that Wilder got and all the channels who brought those certain allegations to light, who also got criticized and crucified for bringing up the fact that Wilder's legs didn't look right from the first round. You see, people get upset and they say, oh, Divine, don't bring up Wilder, bro. Like, don't bring up old stuff. But this is why I bring it up. This is the proof continues to be in the pudding, man. My legs were hurt. That's why I could have knocked out Woodley, man. I should just stop right there before it gets out of hand. It gets out of hand, man, and I'll break my own code of honor here. I'm trying to keep it clean, but if I keep going here, stuff might start flying. I got a samurai sword over here. I might just start cutting some shit because I get lit. I couldn't knock him out because my legs were cramping. Man, shut up. You got lucky Woodley didn't knock you out. You got lucky that you almost got knocked out by a UFC fighter who didn't display any boxing skills at all, pretty much. Abdullah says his legs cramps might be due to him being extremely anxious. When you're extremely nervous, your legs might start to feel weak. But once you get into rhythm of a fight, the anxiousness goes away. And to that point, Abdullah, he did look very nervous, in my opinion. He looked very nervous in the fight. He may have, I think he adjusted a little bit once the butterflies kind of went away, man. But he's young. He's young and he's in there against a guy that he knows deep down that can possibly knock him out, and he almost did. This fight was seen by half of America. Jake Paul is the LGBTQ hero. I don't know if that's a joke or trolling or you're being serious. I don't even know anymore, man. Half the time in today's world, man, I don't know what to think anymore. I really don't. The people make these comments the way that there was a comment. There was a comment section on the live stream that I was watching, and the comments that were being put near the live stream video was just atrocious. All kinds of like throwing around the N word and throwing out the all bunch of racist words and going crazy. And this is the world we live in, man. I just don't know, man. I don't know what to think or say to you people anymore, man. I just don't know, man. I'm just exhausted. Man. And thankfully, we get some sound-minded people out here who, can have a real conversation and at least make me feel like there's a few people that are still human. Divine, you got me laughing, man, bro. We were really in the same space. It's funny because I get heated, right? I went on live, I don't know, maybe like a week ago, and I was talking about Wilder, and I started getting heated, and one of my subscribers said, yo, it's probably not a good idea when you get heated like that to have a samurai sword in the background. Can you just start my slicing shit? But, like, for real, man, like, there's just certain things that I just can't tolerate. There's just certain things I can't tolerate. as a businessman, I picked an opponent who people was going to watch. Businessman. I'll keep my comments to myself. Jake Paul had the superior boxing skills, but Tyron had the better chin and more power. His endurance was also better. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you had to if somebody forced me to say who displayed the better boxing skill, I would have to say Jake Paul, unfortunately. As much as it hurts me to say that. But yeah, he did. He was more active. He put combinations together. He's trying to use his jab. So yeah, in that regard, he was. And it's crazy, right? I keep saying it that a guy who didn't really display any boxing skills whatsoever almost knocked him out. Almost knocked Jake Paul out. And probably should have. So Jake Paul might, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. If anybody's wondering what I think Jake Paul should do next, I don't know. I really don't have an answer. Quite honestly, I don't really care. If he retired, I wouldn't care. I would actually be quite relieved. But if he decides to continue doing what he's doing, on one hand, I feel like if he fights Woodley again, it might be a bad choice because now Woodley knows that he can take your power. You don't train for power. You can sharpen up your skills a little bit, but you don't train for power. Either you have it or you don't. And at cruiserweight, maybe he just doesn't have it. I mean, Woodley didn't look hurt to me once in the fight. With boxing gloves on, he doesn't have to worry about 4-ounce gloves against Jake Paul. So if he gives Woodley another opportunity to kind of prepare and to sharpen up a bit of skills, because now he knows what his missing ingredients are. I think he knocks out Jake Paul if they rematch. Like, it's over. Like, Jake Paul will probably be smart enough to say no and hunt down some other lackluster person who's not a boxer. So I don't have an answer for you guys on what I think he should do next. Quite frankly, I don't care. Isaiah B, man, what's good? I haven't seen you in the chat for a while, bro. Good to see you. Hope you're good out there. I know it's getting late stateside. For all those people that have stayed up, continue to watch the live stream. I appreciate you. I've been live now for 2 hours plus because I live streamed the entire fight live. So if you guys are catching this late, you guys can come and check it. Isaiah says Tyron could have got Jake out of there had he applied more pressure. Yeah, that's what we've been saying, man. That's what we've been saying for the past hour. But he couldn't do it. Now Jake Paul is dissing McGregor. Yeah, whatever. I'm going up. McGregor is going down. The dude's a clown, man. The dude is just a clown. And the more we keep talking about it, the more it just pisses me off that Woodley didn't knock him out tonight. And he had the perfect opportunity to do it. So we just have to live with it now. We have to deal with it now. We got to deal with Jake Paul now because he got the victory, and we got to deal with his BS for the next probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 months until he decides to fight again. We got to deal with it. It's going to be all over YouTube. What I can't stand is when it comes to marketing, suddenly the words good, decent, lucky doesn't exist, and everyone is a genius. Facts. Deanna says, salute, Divine. I got to decompress. Salute. Yeah, get some sleep. Everybody get some shut-eye, man. I'll be back on here. Probably go live tomorrow. If not, I'll drop some type of video. I got something lined up. I'll try to end the month off strong with something very entertaining for you guys, ending off August going into September, man. So you know what that means. October 9th is creeping closer. That's all I got to say. I'm going to jump up out of here too, get on with my day here on Monday afternoon. For those of you who've been a part of the stream the entire night, I appreciate you. Get some sleep. Stay strong, stay positive, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.